Good evening, Ron Roggé. Welcome to Chatbox with Sam.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Lovely. Wait a minute. You're that chatty lady, that chatty English woman. Right. Okay.
I am. And my
I know who
famous.
you are.
You do?
Yeah.
Would you like my autograph?
I would actually. Yeah. Sign it at the bottom of my check, please. Just
Okay.
send it on out, make sure it's signed, and we can go cash those checks.
Is that with or without interest?
Yes. There's no interest whatsoever. Just
And
just
I
check. No,
just
I'm kidding.
checked. And I thought
Yeah.
we were just going to do a straight swap of autographs and photographs.
What? What?
So I have a few questions to ask you. I'm trying.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I know. You might
Are
be
we going to
very.
deviate from the normal questions? Because,
Absolutely.
I tend to not be like the same like everybody else. I sort of like deviate down my own little path of life. So if you
And
have different questions,
I do.
surprise me.
I will surprise you.
You've been warned. Here I go.
It's okay. I accept people as I find them, always and forever. That's what
That's
makes
good.
human beings so interesting, isn't it? That we're all just
Um,
uniquely different and they're similar, you know? And
yeah, I mean, sure.
if our personalities were all the same, wouldn't it be boring?
Well, I mean, I wish people were more aligned in certain things, but maybe not in others. I guess that makes people interesting.
How would you like them more aligned?
Oh, I just think that, unfortunately, our country's been divided by politics and other stuff. And it's like, I wish everybody had the same goal as, like,
Mm,
pro humankind, pro democracy, pro environment, but
yeah,
I don't understand the division. But anyway,
there
it's
shouldn't
not for
be.
me to figure that out, but it does exist. So
Well, unity is powerful. And when people are arguing amongst themselves and dividing themselves, they're not going to be a stronger nation as if they were united and allowing people to have different opinions and different thoughts with also working together on reaching the same goals.
right. And you said this wouldn't be political. Here we go.
Here
No.
we go. If you were to encourage the younger generation, what would be the main focus and why?
If you can do anything, and I mean anything besides being part of this industry, go for it. It's not an easy path. It's very difficult. And I'm sure you have other dreams that you want to achieve that you could probably make happen if you became a doctor or a lawyer. I'll tell you some advice I gave my niece when she turned 18. I was like, if you're going to go to college, be a geologist
Hmm.
because it's only a 4 year degree, but they start at 200,000 a year.
Wow. That will
How's
pay
that for
them.
advice?
That's really good advice, and that will
It's
definitely
actually
buy the
great advice.
mortgage.
I got a friend is he's like one of these people that go out and place people or find recruiters, right?
Yes.
And that's what he told me. He said, if you know any young people that want to be geologists, they're very hard to find and they pay really well, and it's only a 4 year degree. So things have changed since I was a kid, but I think I would encourage children to have love in their life. I think we're missing. I think we're become so selfish in certain ways, right? And I
Hmm.
think that having love for others and for themselves really is a way to try to focus on.
Got you.
Yeah, understanding of people who are different than them. Yeah, kind of the way I was raised. I kind of grew up thinking everybody was all the same, and it's amazing how many people don't think that as they get older. Like, you're different, then I can't be your friend, or I don't have to
Yeah.
trust you, or and I'm like, it's crazy to me. I just grew up in a different household, so that's what I would probably try to pass on.
That would be perfect because that's just as the conversation we were talking about. We're familiar yet uniquely different and accepting each other's changes and mindsets
Yeah,
and,
I mean, I
and
think we
respecting.
should. I think we should even embrace people from the UK. You know,
Why
I
when you
think
why when you threw our tea in the Boston River. I mean, why would we come back after that?
That's right. Yeah.
That's the main insult.
Come get your damn tea. I don't even drink tea in the first place, for God's sake. I don't even drink coffee.
Don't you?
I don't drink coffee, and I'm Italian. I make a lousy Italian, so there we go.
Oh, you wouldn't, because you are one.
I am.
And I'm Irish, my darling.
Are you Irish? Yeah. I said the UK.
Irish.
I was trying to be all encompassing.
Well, I am born and bred in England and raised, but I've got an Irish family, big Irish family, and Serbian.
So they bred you in England? Is that what you said? You were born and bred? So
I was bred there.
You were born there and you were bred there. So
Yeah.
that sounds like,
Well, they have
how many puppies did you have?
I had a couple. But yes, I did. We all had there was a mating season, there was a ritual, the moon was out, we all went round Stonehenge, and then I popped out.
That sounds like druids. Are you sure you're not from Welsh territories?
I have no idea where I'm really from, and I don't even know where I'm going. I'm just here in the moment.
Just get your tea and leave, please, all right?
I will not. I'm staying put. I love America, actually. So that was a really great answer. What inspired you into this career that you're in now, in the industry?
Because I thought that girls thought it was cool, so maybe it was a way of meeting girls. No, I don't know. I just have a weird path. I mean, I was traveling so much as a teenager, and I worked for the airlines, and I flew over the world, Europe 5 times before I was 21. And I don't know. I just, and then I came back, and then I kind of wanted to start doing theater. And then I did that for so long, not even knowing that there was, a bigger industry as far as TV and film. I never really even considered it. But when I did enough theater, people started talking about the possibilities of doing things. I was in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and I just started kind of hearing about doing film stuff. I thought it'd be kind of cool, and wow, it pays better than theater, so let's try it. And through a fluke, I got on a TV show. I was doing an extra on a tugboat in the middle of San Francisco, and the tech advisor goes, "That guy would be saying that line. I'm the advisor. I should be." So because I was an extra, they gave me a line, and I got upgraded, my first TV show. And then not too long after that, I was doing a movie called Angels in the Outfield. I was shooting in the Oakland Coliseum, which is like literally a 10-minute walk from my house. And I thought it'd be cool to go there and play baseball and get paid as background. And then they upgraded me and had me say a line on set. So I got upgraded on a big Disney film, my first, full movie. And then from there, I was like addicted, because it was like, wow, that's even better than doing extra work, right? I get like 10 times more money. So
Exactly.
I just started looking into doing more of that stuff. And eventually I moved to Los Angeles, but I was much older than most people who do that was. So I didn't really have high expectations, but I guess I've done a couple things since then.
You definitely have done a lot. I've got a whole page full of a couple of things that you've done since then. I've been looking up on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I guess I've been lucky.
IMDb. You've got quite the list going there. So you've got the rap sheet going here, right in front of me.
Yeah, that's I don't have enough IMDb credit. And when your producer said, "Oh, you can get IMDb credit for doing your show," I was like, "Well, sign me up." I don't have enough IMDb credit.
I'm going to tell her to give you double for your personality.
Funny. Yeah. No, I've been fortunate. I mean, I think somebody just told me, he goes, you're like 140 TV episodes. I'm like, really? That's pretty good, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I've been fortunate, but
yes, and you're going to continue on because you're continuing on with the work. And you're still continuing
I'm continuing on because I'm continuing on.
Move forward.
Move over Jimmy Fallon, because here comes Samantha. You're going to continue on because you are continuing on.
Actually, I'd like to work right with Jimmy Fallon. I think he's awesome. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do something like that. But,
You're on your way.
do you
You
think
just got to
so?
choose better interview guests than me for you to get at that level.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm happy with the interview guests that I have. I really have enjoyed every single person that's come on my show.
Nice.
It's about meeting and speaking to people and sharing your views out there. And I hope that many people come and listen to them. It's fun.
Well,
That's
thank
what
you
it's
for
about.
including me in your passion project. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And Danny was the one that recommended you to me, and I'm really
I don't talk to
grateful.
him anymore. He's too lowbrow.
You're such a
I hope he's
and
watching this too, because he's
he
gonna like,
will watch
what?
it. He
What did he
will,
just say?
because he gave me a list. And
Nice.
I saw your phone number and I went, shall I? Yes, I'm gonna do it.
Wow. Phone number even. Ooh.
I did get your number. I did, baby. I
Uh-oh.
got your number. So, how would music influence your life?
Music's important. I think that if you want a Hans Zimmer soundtrack for your life story, I think you should start saving, your pennies now so you can get that lined up, because that's important to you, right? So I always played in middle school, high school. I played horns. I played trumpet and baritone horn. Never really followed up with it much, but I've always used music as I want to say therapy. That's not the right word, because music is just part of every day of lifting you up, and whether it's a heavy metal thing, just driving you into the mood, or if it's just sitting back and listening to some jazz or some Frank Sinatra, and just kind of letting that just like go take you on a journey. I'm a fan of all kinds of music genres. My friends think I'm weird, but we've already talked about that. It's like I have a mixed songs on my. Here's how old I am on my iPod. Um, I have a mix of songs that are anything from country to Frank Sinatra to Caribbean rhythm
Hmm.
and jazz and everything else. So, but that's just part of my everyday life, right? I just turn on the radio, and I that's my escapism. That and going to the movies. I do both a lot.
That's
So it's
awesome.
important, but I don't know if I can really put a tangible like point in saying, "Oh, this is what." I've never broke it down psychologically. I just enjoy it. So it's part of my life in that fashion. I can listen. I'm just as comfortable listening to heavy metal as I am Frank Sinatra, as listen to Caribbean rhythm, and I love it all. If I like a song, I don't care where it's from. I'll put it on my mix and just play it on the road, and let the when it plays, that's the music I'm enjoying at that moment, right?
Hmm.
So I don't try to like it's not per mood, per type of music. It's like whatever fate is bringing to me to listen to at that time. That's what I'll just turn it up.
That's fantastic. What out of all the charities that you could choose, which one would you choose to advocate for, and why?
I mean, I've always been a big environmental guy. I've always I always think that that we're responsible as keepers of the planet to try to keep. I mean, I'm the person that takes spiders that I find in my house and gently sets them outside, because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to destroy anything natural.
Hmm.
Unless they're black widows, then I have to kill them because I don't want them to bite anybody. But for the most part, I've always been really into nature shows, and environmental issues are big with me. So yeah.
Oh, how do you feel about what has transpired since COVID-19? And do you ever see us turning to a normality or a new normality?
Mm, I don't know. Maybe I don't think so. I think COVID's going to be with us forever. I think it is a type of virus like a flu, so it'll probably be in that flu shot that we get every year as far as vaccinations and stuff. Now they've always been around,
Hmm.
viruses and things like that. So I just think this is, I'm vaccinated. I'm a pro-vaccination person. There's been some freedoms by having it out there. The variants, blah blah blah. I mean, it's you do have to kind of be smart about things, I guess, but I think it's going to be with us for the rest of our lives.
I agree. I was speaking to someone once. I don't know. I was thinking what your thoughts
What?
were on
What?
this.
Chatterbox Samantha was speaking to somebody?
I was, and they were saying how, and I thought they brought a very interesting concept up of how things changed after 911, and now
Yeah.
we've had this pandemic, and how we got used to things like going through the airport and taking our shoes off, and acting a little bit differently at the airports and on a plane and traveling. And the virus could be the same thing. We will get used to the new normality of doing things a little bit differently. We kind of have
Right.
to, really. Yeah,
We don't have a choice.
we don't. We don't have a choice. And I live to be a rebel,
A
but I am safe. So, is that
rebel implies that you were on a normal path and you decided to deviate. I've never been on a normal path, so
me neither? And
I
I
don't think
don't.
I'm a rebel. I just think I'm just missed the road in the first place.
I think there's many roads in life. We just choose
Sure.
different ones and take a changing direction is okay. Sometimes what's meant to be isn't, and what isn't is.
Right. And you will continue because you're continuing.
On and forward.
Look out, Jimmy Fallon.
I
Here
love
she
this
comes.
interview. You, I think it's awesome.
Oh,
I do.
love is
I'm
strong.
enjoying it.
There you go. I bring love to children, and now I'm bringing love to Samantha. It's all good.
You are. You are. I think you're a great, fantastic personality. You're a great human
Wow.
being.
Thank
You
you.
are. You are really nice. I really
Just
enjoyed
don't tell
this.
my agent.
I've already called him.
No, yeah.
I said, "Hey, you. I got Ron on. I'll send you the recording first." I'm only joking. So, is there any role that you've played that you can see your own personality in? Which one was that?
Well, I think all of them. I'm also an acting coach, and one of the things I like to start with when I'm talking about people, I said, when you're performing a character, it's, there's two parts of it, right? There's the part that you have the technique and you learn and figure out how to make things interesting and all that stuff, stop being one note, things like that. And then the other half is like is kind of just being you, right?
Mm,
And I say the beauty of that acknowledgement is no matter how great an actor is, Meryl Streep will never be a better Ron Roggé than Ron Roggé,
right.
right? Well, maybe she might be the exception, actually. I had a picture on my Facebook of a little white dog in a chair, one of those director's chairs that said Meryl Streep. I'm like,
I s-
my God, she is really good.
and I saw that. I can verify that
Oh, you did?
story
Okay.
is true.
I think instead of people trying to create a character from the bottom and
Mhm.
trying to figure out what you like for dinner, what you are going to do by yourself on a Saturday night if you had to, or if what somebody said that may make you mad, make you laugh. You already know all these things if you know yourself. So by starting with yourself as half of the work that you do as an actor,
Mhm.
then the other half is just kind of shaping that to make it more interesting, right? So when you ask me what character's closest to me, I think they're all just what would I do in the situation that I'm being thrust in the scene, right? If
Mm.
it's a worthy scene. I very rarely play characters. Well, a couple times. I'm doing one right now, in fact, where you're being somebody else who was a real life character.
Yeah.
But still, I'm doing this thing called The Offer with Paramount Studios. It's about the making of the Godfather movie, and I'm playing Frank Sinatra's best friend, Jilly Rizzo. And Jilly Rizzo
Oh.
was a real life character, mob guy, Frank's best friend. They hung around. There was a lot of video on him and stuff. It's kind of interesting,
Yeah.
but I'm still kind of my own essence because um, I think you have to start with that, right? And then you try to layer in some of his characteristics if you feel like it's going to lend itself to the story. Not to the story detriment, though.
Mhm.
But just in general, I think if you're just putting yourself into a role, I think that's half of it. So every role out there is at least half me. and
Right.
then you layer the other things on to make it interesting, making interesting choices, whatever that all that stuff is. And we don't want to go into that because that's a whole coaching thing. But I do plan on doing a bunch of coaching tapes, like a series, and just talk to actors about acting
Yeah.
and put it out there because, like I've said before, I choose a different path and I go down this road and I think of things way differently than a lot of people do, especially in acting. And people are like, usually either blown away or they go, "You're too weird for me." But most people who appreciate what I say and how I say it, I can get them to the finish line a lot quicker because
Mm-hmm.
I just see things differently as far as the acting stuff is concerned. But a
And
big
what
part of that is being yourself in that. So
and being
hopefully, a
sorry.
series of acting tapes out there that you can share with your many fans.
I I'll share them with your many fans. So if
Oh,
people wanted to reach you, where could they reach you? If they wanted you to coach them, is it going
for
to be
coaching,
yes?
you know, I'm a little bit like I should be putting myself out there more.
Mm-hmm.
I everybody that I coach just word of mouth. I don't even necessarily advertise,
Mm-hmm.
but people have reached out to me on Facebook Messenger because
Okay.
I'm accessible there. I guess I did start a Facebook page called LA Acting Coach, and I haven't done literally anything with it. I just
Mm-hmm.
saved it, and then I every now and then I drop a couple things on there. I think it's got a total of like 7 people, but so don't go there because I never check it either. But my plan was my plan at one time was to kind of do a big thing on that, but
Yeah.
I'm just happy with the couple dozen people that come to me, and it keeps me occupied. And between when I'm doing my own projects and shooting stuff like this Paramount series, and right now I'm also producing a horror film. We're gonna go
Oh,
shoot up in Big Bear in October, so I'm in the middle of casting that. So that's a lot of time to do that. Um,
that's epic.
so I don't have a lot of time to like try to build, clientele. Not that I want to. I've been asked to teach a lot in a classroom setting, once or twice a week, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I mean, I really enjoy it when I get the opportunity, but I would rather
Yeah.
just put it out there, like I said, on a series of tapes, and
Yeah.
let people. If it helps them, great. If it doesn't, great. I'm not going to probably ever see any money from doing it, but it's just an opportunity to have my twisted take on acting out there, so that people can maybe, if they find it's
It
some
can help
relevant to
them.
them and the way they approach the business, then it'll be available for them to see. I did Stranger Things, a pilot for Man in the High Castle, and some other stuff that's on there. I really enjoyed the comedy stuff I've had the opportunities to do
Mm-hmm.
over the years, like Modern Family and How I Met Your Mother, and a bunch of other silly stuff. So um, you know both reels are fun. I'm a little bit lazy in the fact that I've been fortunate enough that I keep working, that I haven't had to update stuff in a while. I haven't done anything new in the last, put a new reel together in like 2 years. So it's all like
Well,
previously, and I'm still waiting for footage that hasn't come out yet. I did a movie in South Korea that I'd love to get that footage
oh,
for. And
really? What's that
yeah, that was a
called?
great experience. Right before the pandemic, I was in Korea for about 2.5, 3 weeks. Yeah, it was amazing. It's amazing, amazing experience.
Are you allowed to mention the name of the film, or is that not?
Yeah, it's on IMDb. It's called The Road to Boston, and
Okay.
it's a true story. Boy, I got to learn a lot about South Korea, North Korea. I mean, I learned all about how that happened after World War II, and Korea, the Korean Peninsula was occupied by the Japanese, and when the Japanese surrendered, they surrendered the Korean Peninsula, and the spoils of war half went to the U.S. and half went to Russia, and that's what created, unfortunately, in North and South Korea. South
Oh,
Korea obviously being democratic and stuff, and then they floundered for a few years until North Korea decided to invade in like 1949, and that's when the United Nations sent all these countries in to help try to save this brand new democratic country.
right.
And they are so honored and appreciative of all the sacrifice that people made to try to save their
Oh,
country. So it's amazing to be there because they still to this day have entire exhibits and museums and everything else that they just were so honored that so many people from around the world would come and give their lives to try to save their country. But then just the people of Korea were amazing. My experience there was amazing.
Yeah.
Um, they drove me everywhere. I had an interpreter everywhere, even on days I wasn't working.
Oh.
My own interpreter, my own car, which you'll need in Seoul because it's a huge, giant city with, I think, the third largest city in the world, and it's just
Yeah.
no clue. I would have walked one block, I would have got lost. So thank God I had
Right.
my own. But the experience was great. The director was a director I had admired, and when I auditioned, I had no idea it was him. And he had done a couple of films which I really liked, and so I was flattered. He was probably the biggest director in Korea until Parasite, right? Then that director is now the most famous director in Korea. But so anyway, the film we shot, and it was supposed to come out the following summer, but of course that was followed by a pandemic, and I
Pandemic.
don't know. Yeah, it is a
Well, we
Korean
shut
film.
down. The industry shut down for a year and a
Yeah, they shut
half.
down before us, really, and I
Mhm.
was I didn't get caught in it, but yeah, it's so I don't know where that movie is because nobody from Korea has reached out to tell me, oh yeah, it's getting released.
Yeah.
And I am speaking English. I'm not speaking Korean, which is another thing about Korea that was amazing is that even movies that they show in their theaters, no
Mhm.
matter what country the movie is from, they don't ever dub the movies.
Right.
If it's an American film, the English is playing. It's a French film, it's played in French. They'd
Mhm.
subtitle it, but they never ever would dare to disrespect the film and play it, dub it with a different language. The only exception is with kids movies
Mhm.
because the kids aren't expected to read the
Read.
subtitles, right?
That's
So, like,
amazing.
yeah, the early, like the
Mhm.
Disney films for kids and stuff like that, they will dub. But I thought that was amazing. So when I'm shooting this Korean film, I'm speaking in English because my character was supposed to be American, 1947,
Yeah.
and I got to speak English and yeah, so it ought to be an interesting film. It's a great story. Um, I don't know how much I can talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Contracted.
about,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's kind of cool. Just get thumbnail, I guess. There was a runner when Japan occupied Korea. He ran in the German Olympics and the Berlin Olympics in 1936, whenever that was, and um, he wanted to run with the Korean flag, but Korea was occupied Japan. Japan said you have to wear the Japanese flag on your
Mhm.
jersey. He won the marathon long distance thing, but then when he was on the podium getting the gold medal, he put his hand over the Japanese flag
Mhm.
to cover it, and he was chastised. He was
Yeah.
beaten. I was stripped of all his. He couldn't run again under the Japanese rule in his country. But then when Japan surrendered Korea and the United States took over, he had a chance to go back into coaching. Now he's older, so he finds a young protege, wants to train him, and there's no really places for them to compete. But then they hear about the Boston Marathon in the United States, and they're like, "This is where runners go in our
Mhm.
showcase." So they try to make a bid to get there. There's all kinds of trials and tribulations they have to go through. Eventually, they get there, and the kid wins the Boston Marathon, which is all true story.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that's running the Boston Marathon, the head of the Boston Marathon. So
Oh,
that's
that's awesome. See,
yeah.
with roles, you have to know you, especially with such films like that. You have to learn your history.
I hope it gets a U.S. release because I think it's a story that would play here. We'll see. And you have to understand at that time too, in 1947, to have a foreigner run in the Boston Marathon.
Hmm.
I mean, just
Yeah.
just as a point of comparison,
Hmm.
I was reading the story about a woman that ran a Boston Marathon. The first woman to run the Boston Marathon was spit on. People were throwing drinks on her. How dare you do that? And you think, wow, what was
Yeah.
that, 1920s, 1930s? It was 1967 or 8 that the
Well,
first woman was allowed to run the Boston Marathon, and she was American, right? So this is
right.
a Korean that ran in 1947 or 48, and he won, and it was like, it was such a big deal at the
Yeah.
time because the mentality of the country wasn't really pro foreigners, and considering the fact that a woman didn't even allowed to run for another, you know
Hmm.
20 25 years after that, or 20 years after that, was like pretty amazing.
So that's a really fantastic story. And is there anything that no one has ever asked you in an interview that you would have liked them to ask you?
I guess, you could have asked me to get married. No, you didn't ask me there. So that is something I didn't get, my wish. I've done a couple of smattering of interviews. I haven't done that many. No, I'm pretty. If there's something to be said, I'm not afraid to say it or throw it in there. Nothing off the. To me, I don't try to force the issue. I'm not trying to change the flow of a river. If I just jump in it and I'm on a buoy or a boat and someone says, react to this, and that's what I react to. I've never thought about, oh, they should have asked me about this or they should have asked me about that. So
Right.
I don't know if that's not a good answer, but
It is. It's your answer.
we could talk about again, another thing coming out. How's this? Let's look at this. Look at that. I'm just going to pull it back into the next thing I look for. I got a series coming out, another series on Netflix coming out called Colin in Black and White. It's about Colin Kaepernick, the quarterback for the
Yes.
my San Francisco 49ers, who took a knee and started a
Took
lot
a
of
knee.
political controversy. Right, it's his life story, and is executive produced and directed by Ava DuVernay, who's one of the star directors of our generation now. And I got to play one of his high school quarterbacks.
Oh, awesome.
So that's coming out on Netflix pretty soon. I'm in the first couple of episodes, I guess.
Okay.
It's called Colin in Black and White,
Right.
which I think is a great title because it's about him. He was an adopted kid, adopted by white parents in Turlock, California. A lot of African Americans there.
Yeah.
So he was growing up as a mixed race kid because he knew his father was black. So, trying to deal with all those circumstances that we talked about earlier. And then trying to identify with his African American side and worshiping stars like Allen Iverson, who was playing for the Sixers and became a big star, and everybody was like shaming him because he showed up with the braids in his hair, right? And then Colin tried to do that in high school and was chastised by his baseball coach. It's like, you're not going to play in the field with that, So it's a big thing about identity and cultural identity and all that other stuff and prejudice within these communities and what he had to deal with when he grew up. So just an awesome, awesome athlete. So
Right. And person.
and person. My friends have met him a lot of times, and he's pretty great, average guy. I think he got a bum rap for what happened. So anyway, that series ought to be fun to watch, and I think it'll raise some more questions about that stuff too.
And not just that. I mean, you can be beat down if you're not accepted, or and that comes to racism again, and everyone's standing up there. He took a knee. He took a knee against brutality.
Yeah, I obviously, I've not been subjected to that because I don't have to deal with that. But it doesn't take me much to imagine that being an issue that people have to deal with, and it's unfortunate. I mean, it's represented in movies and TVs all the time. You see, you see that happen, and it's based on the truth. So that's something. But you said you wouldn't get political, and here you are for the time today.
I'm sorry.
Getting political. But God bless you for having an opinion.
It's all your fault. You started it.
It is. I can be a political person, and I am a master debater about politics, but I won't get sucked into that here because people don't want to know.
But you're always.
If they want to know, they'll know. They'll ask me, and then they'll get an earful. But
absolutely.
Say adieu to you.
Adieu. Ron Roggé, thank you very much for coming on Chatbox with Sam. It's been an honor and a pleasure to talk with you.
I'll leave you with this. I was born in Hawaii, so hang loose, everybody. It's a hang loose. Do the hang loose.
Hang loose.
No, yeah, there you go. It's like hang loose, everybody. That should be your motto in life, right? Chill out when you think you're getting mad at somebody. Just hang loose. Bless everybody out there. Find love in your life.
Love and light. Good
All
night.
right. Bye, my dear.
Good night. Thank you so much. Mwah.